Today is the Feast of the Annunciation, March 26th, usually on the 25th, and it's 9 months before Christmas. And today the angel Gabriel comes to Mary and asks if she will consent to be God's mother. This is a great shock, a great surprise for Mary. We have a saying that we use quite often, that we propose our own plans, and yet God disposes. Sometimes God has other plans for us, and they're not exactly our own plans. Or we'll have the phrase, if you want to make God laugh, tell God what you have in mind, what you want to do. Then God will laugh and everything will turn around, and it won't be what we expect. So that's what happened to Mary today. She expected to live her life as a very simple girl in the city of Nazareth, in the town of Nazareth, just as the other young women lived there. Most of them were not educated, they were illiterate. They planned to have a family and to raise their children in love of God, and in that they expected to find the fulfillment of their lives. So when the angel Gabriel came to Mary and asked if she would be willing to be the mother of the coming Messiah, obviously this was a tremendous shock to Mary. And obviously she did not feel worthy at all, even wondering if it could possibly be true. And it would mean that her engagement to Joseph, a betrothal to Joseph, would in fact come to ruin. She didn't know what tremendous consequences this would have for her. And yet, despite all of this fear, and we could even say even this terror, she consented to what the angel Gabriel asked of her. And this is in sharp contrast to the first reading of our liturgy today from the prophet Isaiah. Israel is preparing for war in the time of the Old Testament, and the king is afraid of a powerful enemy that may cross their border and conquer them. So he makes alliances with other leaders of other nations in the area, other tribes. But the prophet Isaiah says to him, don't do that. God is going to protect us. And ask God for a sign, and you'll know that you don't have to make these alliances. But the king had already made up his mind. He had proposed what he had planned to do. And the prophet Isaiah, and not even God himself, was going to change his mind. So he stuck to his guns. And in doing so, he was defeated, and Israel's enemies conquered them. This is in stark contrast to Mary. She opened herself to God's plans, and despite what she had in mind, she allowed her world to be turned upside down. And that, yes, turned our whole world upside down. The surprises of God came to us because God was Emmanuel, living just like we are, with our feelings, our sentiments, our thoughts, our human nature. And taking on our own likeness, he helped us to open our hearts and minds to God's will, the will to love ourselves, our neighbor, the stranger, and even the enemy. And this love, if we can live it faithfully, will turn the whole world upside down. We are coming now to the death of Jesus, but also to celebrate his resurrection. So we hope to die to our own will and to rise in the will of God's love. May God bless us all in these end days of the Lenten season.